fearless leader in government and environmental justice, and a true force for the people. Vice Mayor Nancy Mateer Bowen.
Wow, I was not expecting to be the first one. Well, first and foremost, you all look beautiful. Girl.
My nephew, her husband, came to my house this morning and told me that he did something to her.
Okay, her
I said,
husband?
Is he alive? He said no.
Her husband?
Yes.
That 911 call is the moment this whole story breaks open. The man on the phone is an uncle, reporting that his own nephew confessed to killing his wife. The wife is Nancy Mateer Bowen, 38 years old, vice mayor of Coral Springs, Florida, the first black Haitian-American woman ever elected to her city's government, and someone who is days away from announcing a run for United States Congress. And we are going to get into all of it.
Hundreds of people got together tonight at Coral Springs City Hall to honor Vice Mayor Nancy Mateer Bowen. The 38-year-old was found dead in her home after police say her husband shot and killed her.
To understand what happened in that house on the night of March 31st, 2026, you need to know who Nancy was first, because she was not just some random politician. She had been building towards something her whole life. Nancy was born around 1988 in Florida to Haitian immigrants. Her father came from a city called Gonaives and her mother from Port-au-Prince. And like a lot of immigrant families, both parents were working all the time just to keep the household going. So it was her grandmother who did most of the raising. And that household was always loud with conversation about Haiti, American politics, and what was happening in the world. Adults would sit around breaking down complex topics like the Aristide era, which was a major political crisis in Haiti in the 90s, and they did it all in Haitian Creole and broken English. Nancy absorbed every bit of it. By 10th grade, she was already volunteering on political campaigns, knocking on doors for a Florida House candidate named Ari Porth. She later interned for him at Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, also known as FAMU, which is where she went to university. She graduated from FAMU with a degree in environmental science. FAMU is an HBCU, a historically black college, and Nancy talked about it constantly as the place that shaped her values and gave her a real foundation. After that, she earned a master's degree in environmental health sciences from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, one of the top public health schools in the world. Her early career took her to the White House as an intern, to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and to the Clinton Foundation. She worked with nonprofits in Haiti as a link between the Haitian government and the United States military on humanitarian programs, including medical help delivered from a Navy hospital ship. Back in Florida, she became a community health worker and then a climate justice program manager, focused on making sure Black and brown communities understood the climate risks hitting their neighborhoods and knew how to protect themselves. She was elected to the Broward County Soil and Water Conservation District, a government body that manages water quality and land health in the county, and through that role, she led the local response to 3 major hurricanes: Irma in 2017, Michael in 2018, and Dorian in 2019. She was not sitting in an office writing reports. She was in the room making decisions about clean water and community health in the aftermath of each storm. In 2019, she ran for Coral Springs mayor in a special election. She lost, but she was the youngest candidate and the only woman of color in the race, and she did not read that loss as a sign to stop. She came back the following year and ran for the city commission. In 2020, she won that seat with 32% of the vote in a 6-person race, becoming the first Black woman and first Haitian American ever elected to the Coral Springs City Commission in a city of around 141,000 people. She was re-elected without opposition in 2024, and in November 2025, she was appointed vice mayor for the second time. On top of all of that, she was serving as Senior Equity Officer at ICLEI USA, an organization that advises cities on how to make their climate planning fair for everyone. She sat on the board of Friends of the Earth as vice chair. She was vice chair of Haitian American voter engagement for the Florida Democratic Party. She had run outreach to Caribbean communities during the Biden and Harris presidential campaigns. She was essentially running multiple careers at the same time, and she was serious about all of them.
Moi, c'est Nancy Bowen, qui servi vice magistrat Coral Springs. I am an environmental scientist. I am a public servant. I am a true organizer and believe in organizing our community and ensuring that they have access to resources so they are able to thrive.
And she was carrying all of this while dealing with real personal pain. Just a few months before her death, in December 2025, Nancy publicly mourned the loss of her younger brother, Donovan Joshua Lee Metier, who was 26 years old. Donovan was a survivor of the 2018 Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in Parkland, one of the deadliest school shootings in American history. The trauma from that day never fully left him. He developed schizophrenia and serious mental health problems tied to what he witnessed, and on December 15, 2025, he died by suicide. Nancy shared a fundraiser for his celebration of life on Facebook and used the moment to speak on gun violence and the mental health crisis it leaves in communities. She was grieving her brother and still showing up every single day. Because the next thing she was building toward was huge. Nancy was days away from announcing she was running for United States Congress in the Democratic primary for a Broward Palm Beach district. The announcement was reportedly set for Thursday, April 2nd, 2026. She never got to make it. Now let's talk about Stephen Andrew Bowen, because nothing about this man on the surface looked like a warning sign. Stephen was born September 6, 1985, making him 40 at the time of the murder. He and Nancy were actually high school sweethearts from the Coral Springs area who reconnected as adults and got married in 2022 in Broward County. In 2023, they bought a house together in the 800 block of Northwest 127th Avenue in Coral Springs. Stephen worked as a certified radiologic technologist, meaning he was trained to perform X-rays and body scans in a medical setting. He had been licensed through the Florida Department of Health since 2014 and was working at Delray Medical Center. He also ran a nonprofit called Men of St. Luke, Inc., a faith-based organization in Hollywood, Florida, with roots in a Masonic lodge, which is a kind of private members-only brotherhood organization. His social media told a particular story about who he thought he was. His Instagram bio read, "God, husband, armed." He posted videos at tactical shooting ranges and had a pinned photo of himself hunting wild boar with a rifle and a spear, cigar in hand. Guns were clearly not just a hobby for Stephen, they were part of his identity. But around Nancy's circle, he read completely differently. Democratic State Representative Marie Paul Woodson, a close friend of Nancy's, described Stephen as quiet and not the type to start conversations, but easy to talk to once you engaged him. She and her husband had spent time with the couple at events more than once and said she never sensed anything that would have predicted what happened. Nancy's posts about their marriage were warm and public. She celebrated every anniversary with photos. Around their second anniversary, she wrote about 2 years with the amazing Stephen Bowen. Cheers to love, growth, and building a beautiful life together. In September 2024, she wrote about the special joy of living in her purpose while being anchored by the love of her incredible husband and his unwavering support. Around their third anniversary in late 2025, both of them posted nearly identical messages about 3 years of building, dreaming, and loving each other through everything. There were no domestic violence reports, restraining orders, or record of any police calls at their home in Broward County court records. Stephen's only criminal history was a cannabis charge from 2009 that was dropped and a handful of non-violent misdemeanors from 2010 that were never prosecuted. He had nothing that put him on anyone's radar. Now we get to the hours right before it happened, and the striking thing is how routine everything looked right up until it wasn't. On the afternoon of Tuesday, March 31st, 2026, Stephen called his parents and told his mother he had experienced a panic attack at work that day and was planning to talk to Nancy about it when he got home. That was the last conversation his parents had with him before everything collapsed. His mother had no idea anything was wrong in the marriage. To her, it sounded like a stressed husband planning to talk through a hard day with his wife. Around midnight that same night, a neighbor saw Nancy outside walking her dog, and that was the last confirmed sighting of Nancy Meteor Bowen alive. What happened inside that house, we know from what Stephen admitted to his uncle and from the physical evidence detectives recovered at the scene. Sometime late Tuesday night, Stephen went upstairs to their master bedroom and shot Nancy 3 times with a shotgun. He had tied a string around a pillow and pressed it against the barrel as a makeshift silencer to muffle the sound. It worked well enough that the neighbors heard nothing. After shooting her, he wrapped her body in blankets and black garbage bags, left her on the bed, went downstairs, and slept until morning. That one detail tells you everything about who this man was behind closed doors. Wednesday, April 1st, 2026, Nancy's colleagues at Coral Springs City Hall started their day expecting to hear from her. She had meetings scheduled, but she was not responding to anyone. At around 8 a.m., a text titled "Discussion Items" was sent from Nancy's phone to a city colleague named Luam Germay about a scheduled meeting. However, Nancy had already been dead for hours by that point. Whether she sent it before she was killed or whether Stephen sent it from her phone to buy time was never confirmed publicly. What is confirmed is that Nancy missed 9 a.m. city commission meeting that the police chief and a senior police major were both attending. She missed a charter school board meeting. She stopped responding to everything. Luam Germay texted Stephen at 9:26 a.m., "Hi Stephen, Luam here. I'm trying to reach Nancy. Can you please ask her to call me?" Stephen wrote back that he had texted her and she was not picking up. When Germay followed up, Stephen said he did not know where Nancy was and that her car was not at home. Then he went silent. Major Edmund DeRosa, a senior police officer who had also been trying to reach Nancy, initiated a welfare check. A welfare check is when police go to someone's home to make sure they're okay. Officers arrived at the house around 10:20 a.m. No one answered, and there were no vehicles in the driveway. A neighbor confirmed she had seen Nancy walking her dog around midnight, which was the last known sighting. A missing persons investigation was opened.
We initiated an investigation into the well-being of Vice Mayor Nancy Meteor Bowen at approximately 10 a.m. this morning. The investigation, through investigative techniques, we arrived at her residence at around the 800 block of Northwest 127th Ave.
But they could not force their way in yet because they didn't have legal grounds to do so.
Once at the residence, we did locate the body of a deceased black female that we identified as Vice Mayor Nancy Meteor Bowen. This is being investigated as a domestic violence incident.
Surveillance cameras captured Stephen arriving at and leaving the family home between approximately 9:55 a.m. and 12:09 p.m. while officers were actively searching for his wife. He was moving around, running errands, acting like he had no idea where she was. Around 12:30 p.m., officers who returned to the house noticed something that had been missed earlier: damage on the second-floor exterior. 2 holes in the outside wall with debris below them, consistent with shotgun blasts fired from inside the home outward. Those holes told investigators that a gun had been fired inside that house with enough force to blow through the wall. While officers were standing outside that house trying to get in legally, Stephen had already confessed everything to his uncle hours earlier. Around 10 a.m. that morning, Stephen showed up at his Uncle Owen Small's home and asked him to hold something for a couple of weeks, warning him not to touch it without gloves or a bag. It was the shotgun. When his uncle directly asked his nephew if he had shot someone, Stephen confirmed it. He said he had done something to Nancy, that she was not alive, that he had shot her 3 times with the shotgun the night before in the upstairs bedroom and then slept downstairs. He described her body as rolled up in a blanket with a garbage bag around her feet. When his uncle asked him why, Stephen said he couldn't take it anymore. That was all he offered. He stayed for 2 hours, told his uncle he had a meeting with a lawyer soon, and left to drop the guns somewhere else. Owen called 911. The recordings were released publicly on April 3, 2026, and they're hard to listen to.
911, what is your emergency?
I'm calling to to report a possible crime.
The urgency escalated on voices in those 911 calls.
Reason to
Tell them
break
to
down the
break
door.
down the door and go down, whatever means.
Ma'am, I understand that we're worried about her and we're trying to find her, but we can't just break down the door. We have to have a reason.
A woman relative called first, already outside with officers who could not get in. She pleaded with the dispatcher to tell them to break down the door by whatever means. The dispatcher explained they needed a legal reason to do so. Then Owen Small got on the line.
Okay, my nephew, her husband, came to my house this morning and told me that he did something to her.
Okay, her
I said, "Is he
husband?
alive?" He said, "No."
Her husband?
Yes.
That gave officers the legal grounds they needed to go in. While the 911 calls were happening, police had been tracking Stephen's black Ford F-150 using license plate readers and located him at an apartment complex in a nearby city called Plantation. Surveillance footage showed Stephen at around 1:39 p.m. handing a gun case containing the shotgun and ammunition to a fellow member of his Masonic lodge. That man told police they were meeting about an upcoming Masonic event and he knew nothing about any crime. When officers approached, Stephen saw them coming and said, "Oh shit, they're here for me."
Rising star in Florida politics is dead, and her husband charged with her murder. Stephen Bowen was arrested Wednesday after police say they found the body of his wife, Nancy, at their home. Nancy Bowen was the vice mayor of Coral Springs, Florida. After she missed city meetings, officers went to her home for a wellness check, according to the affidavit, which says her body was found wrapped in blankets along with 3 spent shotgun shells. That same day, Stephen Bowen knocked on an unidentified person's door, according to the affidavit, and asked that person to hold on to a shotgun for him. He then admitted that he shot his wife 3 times with a shotgun the previous night and then slept downstairs. Nearby, a pillow with burn marks fashioned as a makeshift silencer. Asked why, Stephen Bowen said that he couldn't take it anymore. Today, Bowen appearing before a judge who ordered him to be held without bond.
The court does find probable cause for the charges.
Tonight, Nancy Mateer Bowen is being remembered as a trailblazer. The 38-year-old was the first Black and Haitian American woman elected to the Coral Springs Commission.
She was always smiling, always smiling.
Wenda Tima was a close friend.
She was one of the good ones because she cared. She cared, and she didn't just care about the community that she came from. She cared about everyone. She cared about making a difference.
Bowen was said to be eyeing a run for Congress tonight, remembered by her family as a sister, a daughter, and a friend whose laughter filled every room.
He was arrested at 2:35 p.m. He immediately asked for a lawyer and said nothing more to the police. At the same time, a SWAT team forced entry through the rear sliding glass door of the home. They found Nancy's body in the upstairs master bedroom, wrapped in blankets and black garbage bags exactly as Stephen had described to his uncle, with 3 empty shotgun shells nearby and the pillow used as a makeshift silencer still on the bed. She was pronounced dead at 2:24 p.m. The evidence recovered told the full story on its own. The shotgun from the bag matched the spent shells found with the body. The pillow with burn marks and string was consistent with being used to muffle the shots. The 2 holes in the exterior wall were consistent with shotgun blasts from inside the bedroom, and Stephen had walked into his uncle's home that morning and described all of it, hours before police even knew Nancy was dead.
This morning, the Coral Springs community is mourning the sudden loss of Vice Mayor Mateer Bowen. Police found her dead inside of her home, and now her husband is in custody.
There are no words that can truly capture the depth of this loss or the pain this organization and community are now dealing with.
Yeah, this really is just awful. Detectives say the 38-year-old's death was a result of a domestic incident. CBS News Miami, Steve Maggiore is your reporter joining us live from Fort Lauderdale. He's at the jail where Stephen Bowen is being held this morning. And Steve, the vice mayor's family released a statement. What are they saying?
Well, they are remembering her as a leader and an advocate, and her family is asking for privacy at this time here. Now, the way police found out about this is that they had to do a welfare check at the home of Vice Mayor Nancy Mateer Bowen, and police found her dead inside of her home. And now, as we've said, her husband has now been charged with her killing here. And so this is the mug of the vice mayor's husband, Stephen Bowen. He has been charged with premeditated murder and tampering with fabricated evidence. He's been booked into the main Broward jail here in Fort Lauderdale. Now, Chopper 4 was above as police worked out of a command center on the Commissioner's Street. The chief of police did not describe Vice Mayor Mateo Bowen's injuries, but said there are no other suspects at this time. Employees at City Hall leaned on each other, just stunned by this turn of events. Mateo Bowen was the first Black and Haitian American woman elected to the City Commission. She was an environmental scientist by trade and was known for her environmental justice efforts.
You know, just lost the only woman on our commission, man. You know, as much as we can try to fill that void, we can't.
Thank you. Chilling new details in the killing of Coral Springs Vice Mayor Nancy Mateo Brown.
Her husband now charged with her murder as we learned the shocking admission that he apparently made about a possible motive. Local 10's Roy Ramos is live in Coral Springs today with the very latest. Roy.
Calvin and Nicole, and that person who he allegedly confessed to then went to police. That person telling police that the suspect allegedly told him that he shot and killed his wife because he couldn't take it anymore.
Mr. Bowen, good morning, sir. You're charged with 1 count first-degree premeditated murder. You're also charged with 1 count tampering with or fabricating physical evidence.
No bond for 40-year-old Stephen Bowen, who faced a Broward County judge Thursday, a day after his wife, Coral Springs Vice Mayor Nancy Mateo Bowen, was found dead inside their home.
The court does find probable cause for the charges.
The tragic discovery all came after the vice mayor failed to appear to a commission meeting Wednesday. Police said after text messages were made to her husband by the commission manager as to where she may be, investigators said Bowen responded, texted her. She's not picking up. Where is she? Her car is not at home. Investigators said Bowen confessed to his uncle that he shot his wife because he couldn't take it anymore. His uncle went to investigators who then made their way inside of the vice mayor's home. It's there she was found wrapped in a blanket and trash bags after being shot and killed.
This is being investigated as a domestic violence incident. Her husband, Stephen Bowen, is in our custody.
While Bowen is accused of the heinous crime, it's the vice mayor being remembered for her public service and contributions to her community.
It's a devastating, loss, not just for Coral Springs, but for the people of Broward County.
She cared about students. She cared about seniors. She cared about the environment. She cared about fairness. She cared about equality. She cared about her culture.
Vice Mayor Mateo Bowen, a leader and a voice for so many. Her sudden death devastating colleagues and community leaders. State Representative Ashley Gant sharing a past text message the two shared with one another that read, "Love you and keep holding the line." Florida Congressman Jared Moskowitz posting on X to say he was just with her Saturday, calling her a fighter and sharing that she was preparing to announce a run for Congress. But it is her family now bearing the weight of her loss, writing in part, "While so many knew her as a leader and advocate, we knew her as a sister, a daughter, and a friend. Her legacy lives on in the lives she touched."
And this tragedy just so devastating for her colleagues, for her family, for her friends, for this community as a whole. For that reason, they plan on holding a candlelight vigil right here outside of City Hall in Coral Springs. That will run from 7 to 8 tomorrow evening, and all of those who plan to attend are encouraged to wear orange and green.
On April 2nd, Stephen appeared before a Broward County judge by video for his first court appearance. The judge reviewed the probable cause affidavit, which is the document police used to lay out the evidence and explain why they charged someone. Stephen was charged with first-degree premeditated murder and tampering with or fabricating physical evidence.
Is he grieving or guilty? The husband of the vice mayor of Coral Springs now facing charges of premeditated murder. And that's not all.
Mr. Bowen, good morning, sir. You're charged with 1 count first-degree premeditated murder. You're also charged with 1 count tampering with or fabricating physical evidence.
55 seconds. That's how long the bond hearing lasted this morning for Stephen Bowen. Standing silent, his lawyer does the talking. Murder and messing with physical evidence are the charges. Sky 10 hovers over the neighborhood Wednesday afternoon. A quaint neighborhood 1 minute, a crime scene the next. And not just any crime, cops say. A murder. The lifeless body of Vice Mayor Nancy Mateo Bowen inside her own home.
This is being investigated as a domestic violence incident. Her husband, Stephen Bowen, is in our custody.
Cell phone video shows another scene about a dozen miles away. The area quickly engulfed by law enforcement. An apartment complex in Plantation. Sources, people we trust, telling Local 10 this is where they nabbed the husband.
From Coral Springs to here, this particular area is insane.
Onlookers surprised and saddened once they heard the news. Detectives doing what detectives do, looking for clues and evidence. Some cars towed away from the parking lot that could be linked to the investigation.
We looked out the window and SWAT cars, cop cars, everything just everywhere, guns drawn.
Memories of Matea Bowen flooding social media, and she's being remembered for her public service and putting people first.
There are no words that can truly capture the depth of this loss or the pain this organization and community are now dealing with.
Mr. Bowen, I am going to hold you without bond on count 1.
And so a husband stands in the center of it all. A life gone, a story that doesn't quite add up yet. Was it love turned deadly? For now, we just don't know. Now, if you or someone you know is in danger or maybe feels unsafe because of a possible domestic violence situation, we've got a number on the screen that you can call, the Florida Domestic Violence Hotline. It's 1-800-500-1119. 1-800-500-1119. Now, as far as the husband goes, he's being held without bond.
Premeditated means prosecutors are not arguing this was a spontaneous act of rage. They're arguing he planned it, and the evidence backs that up. He made a silencer before he pulled the trigger, had a plan for the weapon, and spent the entire next morning pretending he didn't know where his wife was. The judge ordered him held without bond. He remains at Broward County Main Jail. On April 6th, the Broward County Public Defender's Office filed a motion to be removed from Stephen's case. The public defender is the government-funded lawyer assigned to people who can't afford their own attorney, and Stephen had been declared unable to afford one. But the office said they were ethically unable to represent him because too many of their staff had personal and professional ties to Nancy. The judge had not yet ruled on that motion at the time of this video. As for motive, the official record gives us one sentence. He told his uncle he couldn't take it anymore. Congressman Jared Moskowitz, who had seen Nancy just the Saturday before she was killed, said publicly that she had just buried her brother and was days from her next chapter. The timing has led a lot of people to draw their own conclusions about jealousy and resentment over her growing career, but no police document, no official source, and no verified statement has confirmed that. What the evidence does confirm is that he planned this carefully enough to silence the gun, wrap her body, move the weapon, and spend the entire next morning pretending he didn't know where his wife was.
Hundreds of people got together tonight at Coral Springs City Hall to honor Vice Mayor Nancy Matea Bowen. The 38-year-old was found dead in her home after police say her husband shot and killed her. Tonight we're also hearing the 911 call made by the husband's uncle. CBS News Miami's Abby Dodge is your reporter live in Coral Springs. Abby, what was the message her friends wanted to share?
Lauren, there was a common call to action tonight. City leaders and friends are asking anyone who knew her to live like Nancy. Through grief and tears, friends of Nancy Matea Bowen shined a light on her legacy. They say it's one of compassion, exemplified by the number of people who showed up tonight.
It means a lot. It means to show you who Nancy was to so many of us.
The Matea family had a front row seat to the outpouring of love, which came with a flood of emotion.
Grieve how you gotta grieve.
Her family has been dealing with this pain for days, but those who gathered tonight want to remember her life, not her death. Matea Bowen was not only a leader, but a mentor.
Nancy showed me what it truly means to advocate, not to speak but to stand, and not to care but to also act.
For those already in office, they reflected on what could have been, presenting her family with a flag flown at the Capitol.
Nancy was always for the people. She never postured. This was never about her. It was about her community.
As the first Black and Haitian American woman on the city commission, her presence and now absence is felt countywide.
I would like to tell you thank you for your daughter.
As the memories flashed by, her community is grieving its light.
The mayor told me earlier today when we were speaking that he does plan to hold a walk in her honor tomorrow at 2 p.m. It's going to be at Peace Garden, which is near the Art Museum here in Coral Springs.
Nancy Meteor Bowen spent her whole adult life building towards something bigger for people who looked like her and came from where she came from. She was 38 years old, days from her next chapter, and the man she called her unwavering support is the one who ended it all. What do you think about this gruesome murder? Do you think there's more to this case than Stephen's revealing? Let me know in the comments section. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.